All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to have you all here today. It's going to be a special day. Good morning to all of you with us here over the internet. For the people who do not understand the balloons and the decoration, it is because today we are going to be celebrating the 15th year of anniversary of TSS. So it has been 15 years. This is also our third space. So we're kind of celebrating as well a little bit of being here in our new space. We have been out here for close to 2 months, but finally I'm going to celebrate being here. And as always, having our lunch and learn as a way to help our house. But today we're going to have, before we go to the good part, we're going to have our lecture, which also it is a good part. And we're going to be today talking about the pursuit of richness and its purpose for the spiritual point of view. And we're going to have our friend Tiago bringing this lecture first today. But as always, before we start, we are going to do our initial reading, our initial prayer with our friend Natalia.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We're going to read a passage from Happy Life from Divaldo Pereira by Joana de Angelis. Never deceive anyone. Life is a great collector and compensator. Whatever you do to others will return to you. The harvest follows the sowing. He who cheats, deceives, or betrays is only hurting himself. He disrespects himself first and then reaps the effects of his reproachable behavior. Be honest to yourself and, in consequence, to your neighbor. So now let's close our eyes and think that we are here today together to celebrate the anniversary of the TSS. And we have a place to gather and study and also ask for our mentors that are here today to guide and enlighten our friend Tiago for his words, and so we can comprehend all the teachings that we're going to listen today. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. As Teresa said, it's a very special day for us. It's the 15th anniversary of TSS and our first lunch and learn at our new location. So we are all very happy. I have a very difficult test today because there's something beside me distract me. People online are not seeing, but there is a very beautiful cake here. And maybe you're going to smell some food during the lecture. So I have the difficult task to make you focused on what we're going to talk about today. But the topic of today is important. As we said, it's the pursuit of richness and its purpose from the spiritual point of view. So we're essentially going to be talking about money and material possessions, but not exactly about it, but how our relationship with it should be from the spiritual point of view. So let's get started. So starting with a question that probably all of us have asked ourselves at least one time in our lives: what would we do if we won the lotto? If we won from in 24 hours $50 million, for example? I'm sure everyone has thought about it at some point. Somebody would say, "Oh, I would, pay all my debts. I would buy a new place. I would travel around the world. I would quit my job and never see my boss again. Never have to deal with those annoying people at work." Some people would be very scared. Actually, I have heard some people that say, "I would be very scared of getting so much money in such short period of time because I would not know what to do with it." So I think it's something that we always thought of, and we always think of what we do so much money, and certainly we think that our life would improve. But when we look at some excerpts of the gospel, you're gonna see there may be a conflict of like being a Christian, follow the teachings of Christ, and our relationship with material things and with money. In fact, this lecture is mostly based on the chapter 16 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, which has the title "You Cannot Serve Both God and Mammon." And this comes from this passage of Luke, where Jesus says, "No one can serve two masters, for he will either hate one and love the other, or he will become attached to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and Mammon at the same time." And when I searched online what Mammon means, uh, two meanings came across, at least according to AI, because everything is AI today. But they said that mammon was a word that was related to material possessions, and also with being greedy. And later in medieval times, mammon was portrayed as a demon, but also related to greedy, to attachment to material things. Uh, and very I'm sure not coincidentally, very recently we read this chapter on our Wednesday study. For those who do not know, we do have a study on Wednesday of the Gospel according to Spiritism and the Spirit's Book at 7 p.m. You can join online. You're going to hear more about it later, but we read about it very recently. And we have two coordinators on this study. One is Patrick, who is back there, and Raquel is not here today. And they alternate. Each day when they read, they lead the study, and one reads and we comment on. And whoever has ever read at least some few parts of the Gospel according to Spiritism, you know there is a structure. So there is some excerpts of the Gospel, usually one, two, or three, and there is a commentary by Kardec. On that day, it was Patrick's turn, but it turns out that this chapter has the largest number of excerpts of the Gospel. It has about 5 or 6, and Patrick read for 15 minutes. And I think that's curious about one of the curiosities about this chapter, and that's the first excerpt. And then on this chapter, we go to a few other excerpts and some parables of Jesus. So one of the first excerpts is the passage of the young rich man. So Jesus was teaching, and then come this young guy. In my mind, he would be on his 20s, and then he says, he goes to Jesus and asks him, "What should I do to get eternal life? What should I do to go into heaven?" And then Jesus replies, "No, keep the commandments." And then the young man asks again, "Which commandments?" And then Jesus says, "Well, you should not kill, should not steal, should not commit adultery, honor your father and mother, and love your neighbor as yourself." And then the young man replies, "Well, I've been keeping these commandments all of my life. What am I still lacking? What is missing?" And then Jesus replies back, "Well, if you want to be perfect, sell everything you have, donate to the poor, then come and follow me." And then what happens that young man goes away very sad because he had a great amount of wealth. The second excerpt is actually a parable, and I put this image of a barn here. So what happens is there's this another fellow who comes to Jesus, and he has this idea of asking Jesus to divide the inheritance that he's going to receive between him and his brother. And I think it's very odd to someone to ask somebody else, especially Jesus, to do this type of stuff. I think that guy thought that Jesus, being very fair, he would divide it very justly. But then Jesus essentially says, "Well, it's not my place to do it." Right? And then he says, "Guard yourselves against all avarice." And then Jesus tells a parable of this man who had his land, and his land had produced a lot of crops, and then he goes and puts everything on his barns. And but then he produced so much that he doesn't know what to do. And then he goes and he stares and thinking and says, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tear down my barns and I'm gonna build bigger ones, and then I'm gonna put everything in there, and then I'm just gonna rest and not do anything, just enjoy. Then the end of the parable is, then at the same time God says, you fool, at the same night your soul will be taken, and what's gonna serve everything that you accumulated. The other one is a particular favorite of mine. I think it's the Jesus in the house of Zacchaeus. So I think it's my favorite just because I like to imagine Zacchaeus doing what he did. So essentially, Jesus was going through a city, I think was Jericho, and Zacchaeus was a publican. So a publican was a tax collector, and they were not very well seen at the society at that time. Now, today we don't like paying taxes. At that time, they liked even less, uh, and also because there was a lot of corruption at that time. Sometimes publicans would take more money than what was really needed. So they were not well seen people. So Zacchaeus was a publican. So he became aware that Jesus was passing through his city. Uh, but Zacchaeus was a very short guy. So he couldn't see Jesus amidst the crowd. He wouldn't be able to see him. So what he does, he runs in front of the crowd and goes into a tree, a sycamore tree. And then he climbs on the tree and he waits for Jesus to pass, because then he would be able to see him. And then when Jesus is approaching, he looks up and says, Zacchaeus, come down, go to your home, because I'm going to have dinner at your place today. And then that generates a lot of gossip from everyone else, because they say, well, he's going to eat at the house of a sinner, someone who has a bad life. And then comes the time of the dinner, and it's very beautiful what happens to Zacchaeus at that time, because he essentially says, Lord, I will donate half what I have to the poor, and if I have caused harm to anybody, I'm gonna pay them fourfold. And then Jesus says, essentially, blessed, not exactly, but blessed be you, Zacchaeus, because you are also a son of Abraham, and salvation has come to his house. Because the Son of Man came for the ones who are lost, the ones who are really needy. So it's very beautiful to see that transformation. And the second last excerpt is another parable of the evil rich man. So in this parable, Jesus tells that there was this rich man who used to dress beautifully every day, and being a rich man had a lot of food in his house. And there was this very poor man called Lazarus. And Lazarus, he was suffering a lot. It's described that he had lots of sores on his body, and the dogs would come and lick his sores. And Lazarus was only able to eat from the crumbles that came down from the table of the rich man. As it happens, Lazarus died, the rich man died. But when Lazarus died, he came to be in the bosom of Abraham. But the evil rich man, he went to hell in this parable. So the evil rich man looks up to heaven and sees Lazarus with Abraham and asks, please send Lazarus to wet his finger and put on my tongue, because I'm very thirsty. It's a lot of torment in these flames. And then Abraham responds that Lazarus cannot pass to where he is, neither the rich man can go to where they are, because there'll always be a difference between them. Then the rich man says, then send Lazarus to my family, because they will believe if some of the dead talks to them. And then Abraham says, they have Moses and the prophets. If they don't listen to them, they won't listen to anyone else, even if the dead come back to life. And then Jesus concludes that's what happens essentially if you are very attached to material things. The last parable is a very interesting one. Uh, you may have heard of that before. It's the parable of the talents. So what happens here is that Jesus tells that God, our Lord, he is similar to a man who has a lot of land, and then he's rich, and then he goes away on a travel. He's gone away on a very long travel, and then he calls 3 workers before he travels, and he gives them some talents, which in that context was the same meaning of coins. So he gives to each one the amount of talents according to their capabilities. So to the first one, he gives 5 talents. The second one, he gives 2. And to the third one, he gives 1 talent. And then he goes away, but he says, when I come back, I'm going to collect it back. Right? So the first man who got 5 talents, he goes, he works with that money, and then he gets 5 more. The second man then does the same thing. He works with that money, gets 2 more. But the guy who had only 1 talent, he was so afraid of the owner of the land that he decided out of safety to just dig a hole in the ground, just hid the talent there, and then whenever the man would come back, he would return that talent. So time goes by, and then the man comes back, and then he comes to collect the talents. And then the first man goes and says, here are your 5 talents and 5 more that I was able to acquire. And then the owner of the land gets very happy and says, you were faithful in small things, so I'm going to give you much more. Enter in the joy of your master. The second man, who now has 4 talents, says, here are the 2 talents that you loaned me, and there are 2 more that I gained. And then it says same thing. Well, enter in the joy of your master, because you were faithful in little things, and you'll be given much more. But then the third man, who had only 1 talent, he just returns that one. It says, because I was fearing you, I didn't do anything and just returned that talent to you. And the man gets very upset with the third worker and saying to him, no, lazy, unfaithful worker, if you knew that I would collect it back with interest, you should have worked that, you should have done something with it. So he takes the talent of the third man and gives to the first one who had 10 talents, and he casts away the man who had only 1 talent. And that's essentially what happens in this parable. And when we were doing our study on that Wednesday, we came to the conclusion that that parable is a little bit different from the other excerpts, because the people who are rewarded here are the people who have more money, more talents. So that was a little bit interesting, but we're going to get to possibly what that means later on. So let's let's think about it. So if wealthiness, if having a lot of money was an insuperable obstacle to salvation, let's think what would be of the people who are born in wealthy families. So let's say that you were born as the heir of the throne of England. So obviously you are very, very rich. So you condemned to hell just because you were born in that family, apparently without a choice. But being more realistic to most people, what happens to people who become very wealthy through their work? Because we know that happens. There are people who work a lot and they are very good in managing their savings, their money, and they become wealthy. So should they be condemned if they become wealthy like this, if they got an honest money? And should we sell everything we have and donate to the poor? Um, let's think what would happen if we done this, if we did this. So we would sell everything, live it out of nothing, and live out of the charity of other people exclusively. Will actually become a burden to the society. So Jesus, being the educator that he is, uh, and being very logical, like if you think about it in detail, we're gonna come to the conclusion that the money in itself, having money in itself and having material possessions, is not a reason for condemnation. Um, so one must think, what is the purpose of wealthiness? Why do some people are born wealthy, and why do some people become wealthy? What's the purpose of this? So the gospel according to Spiritista essentially tells us that wealthy in itself, money itself, may go into two ways. So let's imagine you have a lot of money. You have the option of making the most of your life with it, in the sense that you can enjoy your life, all the benefits that money can bring. You could choose to have parties every weekend or even every day, travel anywhere you want, and to not care about anybody else, living your life completely comfortable without any worries, like what would seem like a blessed life. Um, but also you can put money to other purposes. So, for example, the one of the purposes of the great wealth of the great riches are to uh, push forward the development of humankind. So when I think about it, like nowadays we have telecommunications. Right now, we are broadcasting this lecture to other people who are not physically here or broadcasting online. Uh, some things that nowadays we take for granted, like we can get our phones and do a video chat with someone who is far away, and we do that normally, but that took a lot of development time, research. Someone would have to go there and understand how the electrons work, and go to the lab and describe all that. And that, believe it or not, that took a lot of money to be developed. Something we take for granted as well: airplanes particularly surprised me because they were invented by a Brazilian, not, not so much more than 100 years ago. And now we have those huge machines that can take you across the world like in 24 hours, sometimes less. And I think like this is amazing, right? And obviously this took money. Someone or some people invested on research to make like this big thing fly in the air like that. I think that's amazing. um, Medications as well, like we have a number of new medications for a number of diseases that improve the quality of life of people. And this also takes time and takes money to be developed. So that's one of the purposes of the great riches, to push forward the development of humankind. So you can conclude that having money in itself, it's not a bad thing, but what use you put to it, then that's what is gonna define how well you're using your material possessions. Another point that Kardec brings is the inequality of riches. So thinking about it, I went to get this photo again. Maybe you have seen this photo sometime during your lives, especially if you're grown in Brazil. So this photo, I think I saw the first time in a geography book, but this photo was taken in São Paulo in 2004. But essentially it could be anywhere. So this photo shows on the right side a condo, and you can see it's a very luxurious condo. They have like one floor apartments, and there is a pool in each of the balconies, and there is also a pool right there, like a common pool for everybody in the condo. And there are two tennis courtyards. So very wealthy, very comfortable. And then there is a wall that we see what we call favela, like a very poor, very low income community. So we see this contrast, and obviously we ask why do things have to be like this? Why so few people concentrate a lot of money, a lot of wealth, and why so many people struggle? Why do so many people sometimes don't have even the money to eat, to buy their food on the next day? So that if you think about it, now that bothers us, and we may wonder where is the justice in this. So as I said, Kardec touches this topic as well. So why is not wealth distributed equally? So at that part, Kardec makes I'd say a mind exercise with us. So let's say that we got all the wealth in the world and we distribute it equally between everyone else, between everybody. So everybody has exact the same amount. What would happen? Essentially, that equilibrium would be lost very soon. So I like to think about it in a kind of a in a microcosmos level. So imagine that you have there are two kids, they are the same age, they go to the same school, and then you give them $100, and you tell them, okay, use those $100 as you wish, and let's see how much you have at the end of the month. I guarantee you that those two kids will have different amounts of money at the end of the 30 days. And that's because they are different. They have the different aptitudes. And we see that in adults as well. So there are people that are very diligent with their savings. They know they know exactly what they have. They have everything on an Excel spreadsheet. If they are into investments, they will know where to invest instead. There are people who become really specialists in it, and there are people who do not care too much. There are people who go on the credit card, they tap, tap, tap. I don't want to see my statement in the end of the month, so I'll deal with it when it comes. So there are different people and different ways of dealing with money, so different aptitudes. So even if you gave everybody the same amount of money, that equilibrium would be soon lost. In the macrocosmos, imagine that everybody had the same amount of money, then everybody would essentially not have the same stimuli to work. And all the advancements that we had with technology, medications, for example, there would be no stimuli to that. And then, we would not push society forward. Looking from a spiritual point of view, you can say, yeah, it's very unfair that there are very poor people and there are very rich people. And that is a problem that cannot be solved only if the present life is considered. So essentially what Kardec is talking about here is our multiple lives, our reincarnation. So you may be very poor in this life, but you may have had contact with a lot of money in a prior life, or you may have had, or you may have a lot of money in a future life, and that changes. And this because riches is also a trial, and I think that's difficult to comprehend at the first time, because we associate wealth with comfort, and we don't see it as a trial. Poverty we see as a trial right away, like especially extreme poverty, not knowing what you're going to eat on the next day, especially if like a family who has children, like you want to feed your children, like people who really struggle. We see that as a trial right away. But being rich, we don't see as a trial, but it is a trial, because it's wealth is very seductive for you to go into selfishness and pride, and that's where we fail the most. So whoever is whoever receives richness as a trial, you have to really ask for help, to be very diligent, and to apply uh, that wealth for the goodness of everyone. Um, Going now to the spirits book, where Kardec also asks the spirits about the inequality of wealth. So he asks, does the inequality of wealth originate in the inequality of faculties? And I think here the spirits give a little bit more detail. They say yes and no. What would you say about fraud and robbery? So what they conclude here is that each penny that someone takes dishonestly, by corruption, by taking from somebody else, that will be taken into account. That is something that the spirit will have to pay for at some point, either in this life or in another life. So that's something that we will have to answer to our conscience. Um, and then Kardec asks, there are those who believe that the equality of wealth to be the remedy for all social ills. What do you think of that? And then the spirits reply, they do not understand that equality would be quickly broken by the very force of things. And then I put this in bold: fight selfishness. That is your social play. Selfishness is our social play. If we fought selfishness more diligently, we would not see so many social inequalities. Because think about it, if we were more, like, in as say, as individuals and as a society, if you were less selfish and care more about the people who are struggling, like, we could alleviate suffering more frequently. The other question, that if equality of wealth is not possible, does the same apply to well-being? And the spirits reply, no. But well-being is relative, and everyone could enjoy it if humans understood each other better. So essentially, if we looked more at each other, if we cared more about how our neighbor is going through their lives, like, we would promote well-being throughout everyone. Like, my take from this, that the spirits are saying that not everyone will be rich and not everyone can be rich at the same time. But a state of well-being, like a state to the minimum, should be possible and should be something that we should pursue. And that's something we should promote to, according to our capabilities, toward everyone. So if we think, what do we truly possess? So if you think of our lives as spirits, we come here and we know that at some point that we do not know, we're going to leave this life. So if you think about it, what do we truly possess? Do you truly possess your house? Do you truly possess your car? Do you truly possess your clothes? Do you truly possess your body even? Actually, no, because if you're going to leave that behind, that doesn't really possess, that you don't really possess that. You enjoy that as long as you are here. Obviously, you need your house, you need your car, you need, your material things to live on while you are here. But once you leave this place, you're not going to need those anymore. So Kardec brings a perspective that we're not owners. We took a loan, and that loan came from God, because everything that we possess here comes from the nature, in essence, and that will return to nature, and then we return to God. And when we return, we're gonna have to give an accounting of everything that we did with the resources that we had while we were here. So if we think about it, we don't possess much. But what do we truly possess? Um, we possess our knowledge and everything that we learned. Um, and I'm not only talking about academic knowledge, what you learn in school and college. That is also important, and that you're going to take as a spirit. You're not going to lose that knowledge, but also what you learn from life, from your experiences in life. During life, you go through a lot of experiences, and you're always learning new things if you have your eyes open. So what you learn on that perspective, you're also going to take with you. That's not going to be lost. And that comes back to something my mother would say, like to stimulate me to study. She would say, study because no one's going to take your knowledge out of you. They can take everything, but not going to take everything of you. But she was very right. And also, you're going to take your moral qualities. So, everything that you learn in the moral side, you're going to take with you. And the spirits say that they make a parallel with the material world. So if you're gonna go, like if you travel somewhere and you're gonna go to a hotel, like if you have enough money, you can go to a 5-star hotel. If you don't have enough money, you can go to like a 3 or 2-star hotel. If you don't have enough money at all, you may have to sleep on the street, right? And kind of the same thing happens in the spiritual world, but the place that you're going to be depends on your moral qualities. So if you're rich on your moral qualities, you're going to be on a better place. If you're not so rich in moral qualities, you're going to go to a place that's adequate to the amount of wealth, moral wealth that you have. And thinking about it, I find it very interesting that whenever someone who is famous passes away, and we see those obituaries online, and the people are always remembered by what they did during their lives, not by what they owned. Like we had some people who passed away in Brazil and also elsewhere recently, like famous people, and they're always remembered by what they did during their lives, not by what they owned. So it's something to think about. And what you did is going to count to your estate in the future life. And that's why the spirit says, regarding your future life, provide yourselves with everything that will be used to you there. So for example, if you're going to go to the Caribbean, you're not going to take your winter coat because that doesn't make sense, right? So the same thing when preparing to go to our true life, which is the spiritual life, acquire the moral qualities that you need. Work on that. So then I want to go back to the parable of the talents, and I think it may make more sense now. So the talents there, I think they represent the resources that we have. And remember, Jesus said that each one of those workers received the amount of talents according to their capabilities. So each one of us come to this life with the resources and the support for us to grow morally, for us to improve. We all have a mission here that we don't remember on our waking state, but there are hints throughout our lives, and sometimes things happen that just point out the way that we should follow, and be certain that we have the material and the spiritual resources to fulfill our mission. But we have to work on it. We have to try to be like the 2 first workers who worked with what they had and they acquired more. And then they had more qualities, and then they enter into the joy of their master. We have tried not to be paralyzed and hide our talents in the ground and essentially not do anything, not do what we are supposed to do, because then we essentially do not advance. And then that talent is kind of taken away from us. It's not exactly taken away, it's because we never used it. Then it's like we never had it. So we have to restart, we have to start over. So I think that's one, at least one of the meanings of this parable. Like, this wealth is not only the material, but the spiritual wealth that we are talking about. So, what is the best use of wealth? The Spirit says that if someone is wealthy and wants to use their wealth according to the laws that were taught by Jesus, they say essentially follow the law of love one another, right? Do towards others what you would like to be done to you. Like, have the empathy. If I were on that situation that my brother is going through, what would I like to be done to me? And try to do that according to your capabilities. And going back to the question, the first slide, what would I do if I won the lotto? Many people say that, oh, I would help XYZ people, I would donate to whatever institution. But remember, you do not need money to practice charity. And there is a kind of a cliche phrase, but that I agree a lot, is that time is your most valuable asset. So donate your time. Like, you can practice charity through your work by counseling someone, by giving some advice that you can give that will help that person. Sometimes you provide a perspective that someone else hasn't had before, and sometimes you receive from someone else a perspective that you haven't thought of. So we always have this mutual collaboration. Affability. Sometimes just listening to someone, like someone just wants to be listened to, and that's a way of practicing charity. And sharing your knowledge, like what you know already, you can share with others compassionately, availably, not pushing anything to anyone, but lovingly, sharing what you know, sharing what you have learned before with others, and you can learn something with that as well. And going back to the mission of the great fortunes. So if someone has a great fortune, what is their mission in life? In, like, if from a general point of view, we're not gonna like generalize to anyone, but you can say that their mission is essentially be like a fountain to spread fertility and well-being all around it. So sometimes someone who is wealthy may use that money to, for example, generate jobs to other people. And the Spirit says that when someone gets their money through work, they feel more valuable. They don't feel that they're receiving like just charity, just an alm. They feel that what they receive is the fruit of their work, and this dignifies them. And even if the owner of the company, let's put that way, even if the owner of the company like gets some profit of it, that's also okay, because you're giving dignity and work to other people. Sometimes those people are very wealthy, like we find out later that they were helping foundations or starting foundations with a particular purpose. So that is a way of using their wealth in a good way, and not only worrying about themselves, only worrying about enjoying their money. So I think the great message here is that it's not money or material possessions that are bad, but how attached we are to it, because that's what brings us very attached to earth. If we need to leave this world, that as we'll need at some point, and if you are very attached, that can make difficult for your discernment. You may be very attached to material things, and that spirit may have difficulties in accepting their new life. But also here, you have to try not to be so attached to material things, because we may lose them at some point. and sometimes for things that we could not predict. If that happens, like, it's a test to our faith, for sure. And the Spirit says that the less attachment you have to something, less painful is the loss of that asset. So the message is, yes, it's okay to have your things, to have your house, make your house more comfortable, and have your material assets. But we have to give them their true value. We have to understand that those things we will enjoy while we are here, and someday we're gonna leave that behind and, continue to live our true life, which is our spiritual life, where we don't need those material things anymore. Right? And now I want to finish this lecture by remembering of another passage that is not on this chapter of the gospel, but I think it speaks to it, which is the passage of the widow's mite, and in which Jesus sees a widow, a very poor widow, giving money, but the money that she had is everything that she had, but she donates to charity. She donates to other people. And like, remembering that true charity is also about some sacrifice. Now, you sacrifice something for something else, for somebody else, which is a demonstration of love towards your neighbor. And that's essentially the true charity. And it doesn't need to be through money, as we said in the last couple of slides. You can donate your time, your ears, hugging someone, just listen to them. That's what true charity is about. And this is my last slide, so I will finish here, and I'm open for questions and comments.
We don't have questions on it.
Okay. Is Mark what I'm saying? No. Okay. So since no questions or comments, and also because this is a very special day, Mark is gonna show us something about the history of TSS and say in a few words. So it's all yours, Mark.
Okay. Ooh, that looks great. Wow. All right. Hello, everyone. Well, thanks for being here. This very special day for us. And we're going to have some, like a little bit of our history there. But first of all, I wanted to take this moment to basically thank so many people, right? That actually, oh, Sandra's talking to us. Okay. Yeah. Patrick, our IT is working on it. Okay. So, because TSS is a house, it's a hospital, it's a school, and it only works because of our collective work into making this happen, right? So, yes, this is a celebration of Toronto Street Society, but there's also, for each one of you, I want you to feel in your hearts, like, the importance and the consequences of good actions and kind of what happens to it, and we built this together. So thank you, everyone, for this. For those of you who are online, who are here, Sandra Jo, who sent us a little video. In a minute, we're going to see a little bit of it. And, as you can imagine, like, as almost every spiritual center in the world, it started like this, like some like-minded people get together and start to say, you know what, like, how would, we just start a little bit, study these books, and then we started building from there, and then all of a sudden we have a larger group, and then we have a home, and then we have, activities come and people. So none of this happens by chance. Like, every one of you have connections to us in the spiritual world, and we signed up for this, by the way. We just do a little checks on our checklist of things that we have to do. I'm glad we're working through this. And not only that, the work is being done on the spiritual side too. So I know most of you cannot see it, but this house is about many, many fold bigger than what you're seeing right now in the spiritual world. And there's a huge amount of spirits right now celebrating this amazing work that's been done on both sides. And it's like you're working together, you know you're there, but you can't see each other. Like how incredible that is, right? Imagine like you go to work, like your co-worker, you sit down at that big desk. There's like 50 people in this meeting room, and you don't see anyone, right? But even the computer doesn't work sometimes. It's like, it's like the mic is off, the camera's not working, right? But it works, right? And this is really, really incredible. So I want you guys to feel also that, and then we'll also be thankful, and we would like to celebrate and thank every one of our spiritual friends that are here with us today and making this happen, right? So are we going to do the video first, Patrick? Is that why? Or you want to see the images first? Which one you prefer? Maybe you do a little bit of the images first, and then we do Sandra so she can wrap up for us. So we can see how people changed over time. I know we've seen those slides before. I promise I'll be fast this time. So sorry guys, it's been only 15 years. It's like, right? I can see some kids that are not kids anymore, like the kids that are taller than the parents, right? It's like, look at that guy. I remember that. Or maybe it's okay. If it's too much work, we can just play Sandra's video right now. Patrick, it's okay? Oh, we got it. Okay. Is this working? No, it's not working.
Try to the other.
The other?
Try the other way.
The other way?
Yeah.
Oh, going down? Oh.
Yeah, it's not very.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So this is kind of the beginning. I know. Look at that. Do you see it? Who's that baby? We have her in house today. I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, so this is our first kind of end of the year celebration of Toronto Spirit Society. This is 2011, I think. We started 2010, but like officially the meetings actually started in 2011. And some faces are familiar. I don't know if you can see. Some faces are not with us anymore. Vera there, and but other people moved away to other cities. That's happened a lot in the pandemic. Other countries, right? But some of us kind of hang around. So see if there's more here to come. No, it's not happy with me. Oh, Patrick is moving away from PowerPoint. Oh, there you go. Oh, there's more. So this is December now, Christmas party, I think it was, right? And here we are. I have my broken hand and all, right? Oh, look, it's the same face. It's pretty incredible. Like, I don't know what he does. It's really, wow, look at that guy. Oh, I'm going the wrong way all the time. Okay. Why is this happening? Okay, see.
It's the other arrow.
Oh, that's right. Oh, our first lunch and learn on the new place, on the old new place, right? It used to be the new place. Now it's and we can see some of us there. Sandra Joe. I don't know, can recognize some faces, I'm thinking, right? That's us there when that's the first lecture of the Gerard Streets building. And kind of weird, this guy's giving the lecture all the time. This is me again. And we have our lunch and learn there. There you go. And all the people again. Oh, you guys know this person too, right? Yeah, look. Like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's like, let's see. Lunch and learn. This is 2012 already. Look, wow, we're getting old there. 2 years already. See the same people around. Some kiddos that are not kiddos anymore. Julio was here. See, Julio from New York, good friend of mine. Marcus, right? He's in Florida. Yeah, he's doing really well there. Yeah, so that's Angelo there. So Danielle Mel is coming here to visit us. Even my mother's here. Look at that. It's crazy. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, Sandra's looking like she's like 20s. Is she online? I don't know. Like I'm gonna hear from her soon. Okay. Planning days. See, we've been through all of this, like 2013, and there you go. Here we are again. Sergio Thiessen coming visiting us in 13, right? Celebrations. We love celebrations. This is 2013 celebration, just like third anniversary. That's where we are, and then we're gonna start to see some other new faces. That's the first time Andre was here, September.
That long.
I know, it's like 12 years already, right? Givaldo in our house, this is 2013. And we start to see some kind of new faces, not so new, like Thiago's here. See, Thiago's hanging there now. Oh, look at this. Oh my God. So beautiful. Look at that. Amazing. Yeah. There you go. This is, by the way, the same place we had our movie night, right? The same theater. Givaldo was there with us. And Marta visiting us, October 2013. Let's see what else. There you go, Celia and Antonio Cesar. They're visiting us too. Oh, there you go. So Haroldo, that was 2014. Yeah, Haroldo with Sandra and having fun and all that. Okay. There you go, Susana. Susana also visited us, right? Oh, and I have this little guy showing up now. Who's that? I don't know. Some kiddos coming up. See, lots and lots of different speakers and different readers. You've been helping me since you're a baby. Look at that. Now you're reading the thing. Yeah. We got some new faces see coming up to TSS. Look at that guy. Fael. So interesting. Okay. Everybody there again. There you go. We got people singing, all that stuff. Cool. Other visitors here, as you can see, we had tons of them. So cool, right? Clay missing a lot.
Why don't we have the scene?
Faces changing, right? I know. Look at that. 7th anniversary. Look, we're getting older. We have so many pictures. Kids' activities. See how many kids we had at some point? We had like 10 kids at some point. It's gonna go up. Don't worry. We're gonna run out of space very soon. There you go. Some other babies coming up here. Do you see her, girl? Look, you're coming up there.
In red.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, there you go. Julie's there too. Oh, you play again. Oh, you too. Oh, what happened? That's it. Oh,
Is that?
that's done. Okay, cool. Yeah, not a lot of stuff, but it's nice, right? To see how we built this together, and this is amazing. Now we're gonna have a quick message from Sandra, so we can continue our celebrations offline and start our lunch and learn. So if you wanna, Patrick, if you wanna play Sandra's video for us, thank you.
Good morning, TSS. Good morning, everyone. Unfortunately, we can't be there to celebrate the 15 years of the start of the TSS, but we're happy, first of all, that it's happening. I know, I can't believe it's been 15 years. A baby. It's a teenager now. Yeah, it's a teenager. So let me just tell a little bit about TSS, how it started. I was part of the Joana de Angelis study group for 16 years. And prior to that, we felt the necessity to introduce the Spiritism in Canada's native language, which is where we live, English. So we started to have a class over there, but it wasn't going further. So I felt that urge to start a group that was going to be all in English from start to bottom. And we felt that that was going to be, we could at least try and see if this is going to work out. So it was me and Vera Oliveira, that we started this group. We started in our home, and then some other people started joining us. Joe, Armando, Vera Santos, and it was anybody else? No, there was just the core. So Joe had an office back then, and he was very generous to offer us the space of his office. And we did that, and then we started, once we had like the core, and we started doing what's going to be able to offer to a group and everything else, then we started sending messages, and all of a sudden we have this, we started this beautiful group.
Today, I think we only have Catarina, Marco, and who else is there? Oh, I'm sorry. Joyce, and I don't remember because most of them left the country or left the province, and they are no longer with us. But we opened this, and everything was done with help of the mediums that we knew from the States and also from the Federation, the Brazilian Federation. They helped us a lot to do what TSS is today. So we have to thank all of them that helped us build what we have in today. And we are so, so happy to be part of this beautiful group.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. Now this is the third location that we've had in these 15 years. We had 4 different presidents. And what makes us most happy is that see new people joining, younger people, because you are the future. You are the future of the TSS and more importantly, the future of Spiritism. So I congratulate everyone that is part of that journey and wishing more years to come where we can continue this work that's very important. And who knows where it will take us from here.
Happy birthday, TSS.
Happy birthday, TSS.
All right, so yes, as you can see, Sandra and Joe really and Vera started this 15 years ago, and here we are. So thanks for them for obviously putting the great work to get this all started in the beginning, and to all of you that are continuing this. So I think it's time for us to continue our celebrations. We have our lunch and learn today. It's a very special day for us, not only because of the anniversary, but also, as most of you know, the lunch and learn is a way that we can, obviously raise some funds to keep our space going and our house growing and continue our activities. So we thank you all for coming. If you want to join us after the lecture ends, we're going to be serving here in our kitchen. Now we have a kitchen in our TSS, which is very interesting. Okay. Also, if you want to write, Patrick, am I correct saying that? If you want to write about TSS, what it means to you, and all of that, there's right in the back, in the corner there, you can actually write it, and we'll save. Yeah, we'll keep that. We'll save that for the 30th anniversary. We're gonna bring that on the screen, and maybe you guys can see your names and say, "Oh my God, what did I write?" No, we're gonna do that too, right? For all of you who are joining us online, thank you very much again for participating with us. We're gonna say big bye to you guys now. We're gonna end with our final prayer today, and then right after the prayer, we're gonna start to get ready for our celebrations. Okay. So